Hey guys, so if you haven't been to my channel before, welcome. And I haven't made a video in quite a while, but I've been feeling a lot better now, so I wanted to get back into the swing of things. And right now it's Mental Health Awareness Month for the month of May, and it's already getting to be towards the end of the month, and I wasn't doing very well for the last few weeks, but I've been feeling a lot better recently, so I wanted to get on here and kind of do a video in relation to Mental Health Awareness Month because I think it's super important. And if you follow me on social media or you know me in real life, you know that my boyfriend Patrick passed away on February 19th. So obviously my mental health has been a struggle, and I have been dealing with the grief of that and everything. And obviously with grief, in my opinion, it's something that lasts forever. It doesn't go away. You just carry it with you as your life goes on and you move forward with your grief. You don't move on from your grief. There's no way to do that. So even though people try to act like you can move on, you can't. There's no such thing as moving on from grief when you lose somebody, but you can move forward with it. But it takes a really long time, and it's something that I will definitely be dealing with, and it's going to shape me for the rest of my life. And I just wanted to talk about how I feel like my mental health has been and what I've noticed has happened. So I did film a video, and I can insert the clip towards the end of this video, and it was an Instagram page that I teamed up with, and they're called Our Minds Community, and they raise awareness about mental health. And so I made a video for them to just raise awareness about mental health and to encourage people to share their stories and to break down the stigma of mental health. And I wanted this to be a video more going in depth rather than just kind of a short little video about my mental health in more recent times and over the last couple of months. I noticed that when my boyfriend died and everything, I was definitely in a state of shock and disbelief, and I definitely felt the physical side effects of grief. I was the most exhausted I've ever been in my entire life. I cannot even explain how physically exhausted I was. I mean, I just wake up and could barely get out of bed, and I felt like I'd been hit by a bus, and I can't, just thinking about it, like the first few weeks, I have never been so exhausted in my entire life. And I would go to bed and I struggled to fall asleep. I would struggle to wake up. And even now I do have a lot of problems with sleep. Sleep is, I think, one of the biggest things that has been a struggle for me in my grief. I struggle with falling asleep, staying asleep. It's bad. It's really bad. So I'm constantly exhausted. So that's the main thing that I noticed that I've struggled with a lot in dealing with my boyfriend's death and everything. And another thing is that obviously it's the depression is, a given. That's gonna happen. I do want to say some things that I've found to be helpful. More recently, I've been trying to just kind of do at least one thing a day that I know makes me feel good. So I've been going on a lot of walks lately. I haven't gotten back into yoga. My favorite YouTuber, Yoga with Adriene, it's not her name, but Adriene, her page is called Yoga with Adriene. But I've been meaning to get back into yoga, but I think I've been afraid to, because for me, yoga can be a very emotional experience. It just kind of is something that you do that can cause a lot of emotions to come up. And she actually, not long after Patrick passed away, she released a video called Yoga for Grief, which obviously, hello, that's like perfect for me. But I've been too afraid to do the video for obvious reasons. So I've been putting that off, but it's something that I think I'm going to be trying to get back into because I think yoga would be a really great healthy outlet for me. So that's something that I've been putting off, but I'm going to try to get back into. I feel like I've been doing a little bit of writing, but not a lot. I have very short bursts of feeling motivated to write, and then it just kind of goes away. So I have very short-lived time periods where I want to be writing and where I feel creative and where I have the energy to do so, because I feel like sometimes, depending on how I'm feeling mentally and emotionally, sometimes I just don't have the energy. So I've noticed, I don't know if anybody who has dealt with grief, if you've experienced this as well, but I know for me, I get easily overwhelmed and I try to limit what I take on and I try to limit any stressors or anything, and I have pretty limited energy these days, so I try to kind of limit that. Another thing that I've been doing is I've been kind of taking breaks from social media for quite a while. I mean, I have always been. For a few years, I've been pretty active on Twitter, and after Patrick passed away, I was like, no, done, bye-bye. Like, I'm not gonna be on Twitter. So I kind of come back here and there. I've been getting a little bit fired up recently about some political goings on. Very draconian legislation that has been passed in several states, including my own, and it feels like we're living in The Handmaid's Tale. And listen, I love the show, but I don't want to be living in The Handmaid's Tale. So I just got really fired up about that, but I've also noticed too that I try not to stay on Twitter too long, or I try not to get too fired up about things, because I think getting my stress levels up is not good. It's not a good idea. So I've been trying to limit that a lot. And I do think that sometimes social media is helpful for me. I actually talked on Twitter about this a little bit, I think. Instagram has actually been incredibly helpful for me. I found a lot of just amazing grief support pages on Instagram, and that was something that I didn't even know existed. So there's an author, I can link her Instagram and any other pages associated with her down below, because I need to read her book. It's called It's Okay Not to Be Okay, and her name is Megan, I don't know how to pronounce her last name, I think it's Devine, and she's amazing, and she suffered a really tragic loss, and she has just been an advocate for grief support and grief awareness and breaking down the stigma, because I personally have noticed that obviously death is something that everybody goes through. We all die. We all are going to know someone who is going to die, whether it's a grandparent, boyfriend, wife, a pet, a child. We're all going to lose someone. It's inevitable, sadly. It's something that people don't talk about, and I've noticed that there have been a lot of people that I'm not trying to knock on anybody, because I know that for me, until I've gone through it right now, I never knew how to talk to anybody about their loss, and I was the type of person who wouldn't say anything because I didn't know what to say. But I've noticed that it feels pretty bad when it happens to me, where I'm on the receiving end, where people are just uncomfortable about it and don't want to bring him up because they think it's gonna upset me, or they don't bring it up ever, or they feel really uncomfortable, and I can tell that they're uncomfortable if I bring him up. So that has been something that I've noticed, and I think that the grief awareness pages that I've found on Instagram are incredibly helpful, because it's something that people don't know how to deal with until they're going through it. So I think it's really important to know that you're not alone, and that you don't need to be ashamed of grieving, and you don't need to be ashamed of how you express your grief. I can link several that I follow down below because they've been nothing but helpful for me. I've been watching different shows. I kind of want to do either a blog post or a YouTube video reviewing Ricky Gervais's The Afterlife. And if you do want me to do that, comment down below. I will activate the comments on this video. That's another thing I need to talk about. I'll talk about that in a second. It was actually not that long after Patrick passed away. It's kind of weird how there are a lot of things that were released exactly when I needed them. But Ricky Gervais's show, The Afterlife, is wonderful. I did watch it right as it was released, and I kind of want to rewatch it and just get a refresher if I am going to do a blog post and or video about it. But I would highly recommend watching that show because it is just so well done. I love Ricky Gervais. I mean, he's brilliant and he's funny, and I thought it was just such a well-crafted show. It was funny, sensitive, and it was not in poor taste or anything like that, because obviously with grief, you have to be careful with the jokes you're making and stuff like that, but I thought it was so well done, and it was just, oh my God, it was just amazing. And it's on Netflix, if you're wondering. Also, I had been looking into grief counseling and things like that, and in my town, there is this grief foundation, and they hosted a grief seminar, and so I attended that a few weeks ago, and it was super helpful. It was amazing, and it made me feel really validated in the way I feel, and they were expressing everything that I've been going through. So I thought that was super helpful. So if you're looking for counseling, I would suggest looking for like foundations that offer seminars like that, or group counseling, support groups, things like that can be really helpful. I know sometimes I've heard that they can be a little bit hard to get organized because sometimes there aren't enough people. So sometimes you might have to look outside the scope of your area. So that can be something to keep in mind, unfortunately, because I think a lot of it does have to do with, I've noticed with other things in the mental health spectrum, I've heard that support groups can be hard to organize because sometimes there aren't enough people. And I think a lot of that has to do with the stigma, that people are afraid to speak out, they're afraid to attend support groups, and I think that the more we speak out and the more we break down that stigma, I think the better it'll get. Oh, and before I forget, if you have recently subscribed to my channel, you probably noticed that all the comments are disabled. And I actually did that for my own mental health, and I don't want to say what it was that actually caused me to disable all the comments, but it was happening at a really bad time, and I received a comment that was disgusting. I don't want to say what it was, and it was in relation to my boyfriend and him being ill, and it was on one of the videos about the GoFundMe, talking about raising money for his medical bills. So the comment was disgusting and upsetting, and I had to disable all the comments because I knew that people were going to attack me on any video on my channel, and that if I disabled the comments on one video, they'd find another. So I just thought, for my own mental health, because of what was going on at the time, I knew that there could be no comments on my channel at all. And I didn't know how long it would be until I put the comments back up so that people could comment, but I feel like for now I will allow comments on this video. It's just so sad what people are capable of and how just miserable some people can be inside, that they want to destroy other people that they don't even know, have never met, and are just talking to behind a screen or on their phone. It's absolutely revolting, and it's disgusting the levels people will go to, because even when somebody is ill, that doesn't matter. There are no barriers for some people, and they think that nothing is off limits. They think that somebody being very ill is something to make a joke about or attack someone on. It's just, it's disgusting. So some people give me hope for the future of humanity, and some people just crush it. So it's just really upsetting. That is the story with that. And I realize I've been rambling for a really long time at this point. It's 18 minutes. I might probably delete a little bit, so I think I should probably wrap it up. And I just wanted to say that if you guys are struggling with your mental health, you're not alone. I am too. And if you're grieving the loss of a loved one, my heart goes out to you, because I don't know what you're going through, because everyone's grief is different. Even if you're grieving the loss of the same person or pet or job or home, whatever it is you're grieving, it's your own experience. It's your own journey. So no one can know exactly how you're feeling, exactly how you're dealing with it, what you're going through, but I just want to let you know that you're not alone in experiencing grief. I will leave a bunch of links down below to helpful resources that I have found, and I will see you guys next time. Have a great day. Bye. Hey guys, so it's been a while since I've filmed a video, but I really wanted to talk about Mental Health Awareness Month, and it's hard to believe that May is almost over, and I wanted to talk about this sooner, but I thought today seemed like the perfect day to do it, and I just wanted to let you know that if you are struggling with your mental health, you're not alone, and I think it's so important for us to talk openly so that we can break down the stigma. And I say it's time to put our minds together and put up our dukes to punch out the panic. Because if we put our minds together, we can overcome anything. Bye guys, I hope you have a great day.